We will say good day, and we will begin this transmission with the reminder that it is titled Fairy Tales for Grown-Ups. And we remind you that in our last transmission, we spoke about using the idea of a spinning wheel to create the illusion of a spoke freezing in place to indicate what it is that you are focusing on at that moment that you need to look at, whether it be a representation of your passion or a representation of a belief system that might be required for you to look at. But in this transmission, even though it will involve spinning wheels as a symbol again, this will be quite different, because what we are doing here is examining two particular fairy tales in your culture, Sleeping Beauty, Rumpelstiltskin, both of which contain the symbol of a spinning wheel for different reasons, different purposes. But the idea of this particular transmission is to help guide you in your discernment in stories, in fairy tales, and the stories you tell yourself, to be able to tell the difference between what is really a positive belief system and a negative belief system, because many of you may have an idea of what the fairy tales, Sleeping Beauty and Rumpelstiltskin, may represent, and what elements within them may be positive and or negative. But you may be surprised to find that there may be some things that are the opposite of what you may think. So before we dive into the idea of being able to tell the difference between the positive and negative belief systems that these fairy tales represent, let us give you a very brief recap so that each of you can remember, because it may be a while since you've heard them, what these fairy tale stories are actually all about. In Sleeping Beauty, you have the idea of a great feast that was arranged because of the birth of the princess to the king and queen. But there was only so much room at the table for all the guests that they chose to invite, some of which were the fairies of the land. And so, because there was one fairy that they didn't necessarily feel had the best of intentions, the best of energy, they chose to not invite that particular fairy. But that particular fairy heard about the feast nevertheless, and showed up at a point where many of the other fairies had already bestowed their magical gifts upon the princess, except for one. And so, upon her arrival, this fairy, being very offended at not being invited, chose to put a curse upon the princess, and said that on her 16th birthday, she would prick her finger on the needle of a spinning wheel and die. Now, everyone was very distraught, of course, at this, and after that fairy left, the final fairy, who had not yet bestowed her gift upon the princess, could only bestow just enough to change the curse to the point where the princess would not die, but would simply fall asleep until such time as someone would come along and with a kiss awaken her. That is the basic gist of Sleeping Beauty. Rumpelstiltskin, a little bit different, where a poor man had a daughter, and it was time for this man to pay taxes, but not having the money, the poor man promised his daughter to the king instead, promising that she had the magical ability to spin straw into gold. Well, the king could not pass this up, and so he took the daughter to the castle and locked her in a room with straw and a spinning wheel and said, "If you will spin this straw into gold, you will gain your freedom and I will marry you." Now, the princess in that sense, or the girl, not yet a princess, was beside herself because she had no ability whatsoever to spin straw into gold. Nevertheless, at some point, the door creaked open, and a little elemental man named Rumpelstiltskin came into the room without revealing his name and said, "I can help you. I can spin this straw into gold, but what will you give me in return? And so the princess had some jewelry. She handed over. The little man accepted and got about spinning the straw into gold. The next day, when the king arrived, he was astonished to see a room full of gold instead of straw. But now the king got a little bit greedy and said, all right, well, I'm not going to free you yet, not going to marry you yet. I'm going to put you in another room with more straw that you will spin into gold. And so again, the girl was distraught, but once again, the little man showed up and said, I will do this for you again, but what will you give me? And again, the girl only had at this point left her ring, which she gave to the little man, who then set about spinning the straw into gold. And again the next day, the king was astonished to find even more gold than before. And being a little bit greedy still, said, all right, well, you have to do this one more time to prove your worth. And so I will now fill the room with straw, which you will spin into gold. And so again, the girl was very distraught. And the man showed up, but the girl said, I have nothing left to give you. And so the little man thought about it and said, you do. For when you marry the king, you will bear a child, and it is the child that you will give to me. Being desperate, the girl agreed. And so the little man spun all of the straw in the room into gold, and the next day the king showed up and was absolutely amazed at a room full of gold, and on the spot freed the girl and promised that he would marry, and so they did. And as time went by, the girl had a child that she loved dearly. And one day, once again, the little man showed up and said, it is time to honor our agreement. You must give me your firstborn child. Now, the girl had grown very, very fond of this child and did not want to do that. The little man insisted, you must. It is our agreement. And so he said, I will go away and come back, but at that time, you must say goodbye to your child, for I will take it. Now the girl thought about what to do and thought and thought and thought. And the little man had said before he left, there is only one way that you can break this agreement, and that would be if you can guess my name. And so the girl thought and thought and thought of all the names she could think of, and had many different servants go throughout the land and collect all the names she could think of. And she looked at the list and thought, none of these seem to be the kind of name that this little man would have, this elemental being, this elemental spirit. I am at a loss. Until she thought, I will have one servant go and find him and spy on him, and perhaps he will learn something. And so she sent her servant out into the woods. Eventually, the servant was able to track down the little man, who was dancing in a glade and singing a song in which he revealed his name to be Rumpelstiltskin. And so he went back to the queen and said, this is his name. And so when the little man showed up again, he said, have you guessed my name? And she said, is it this and is it that? Toying with him, for she knew his name. And he said, no, you owe me the child. And finally she said, is it Rumpelstiltskin? And in a fit of rage, the little man disappeared, for she had guessed his name and broken the vow, and was able to keep the child and live happily ever after. Now, in these two stories, there are many different kinds of things that here and there may be positive and negative on their own. But if we examine the concept, first of all, of Sleeping Beauty, while it may seem to be a positive ending, a positive outcome, the prince comes along and kisses her, she awakes, and they live happily ever after, there are many different symbols in here that actually turn this story into something quite different. First and foremost, the idea being that in the original feast, when the child was born, not inviting that particular fairy is symbolic and representative of the invalidation of a negative belief. And because the negative belief was invalidated, then in a sense it amplified and bounced back with the idea of the curse. Now the curse was mitigated by the final fairy into nothing more than a slumber. But this is simply indicative of the fact that you always have an indestructible core, and no matter how many fear-based or negative beliefs that you may invalidate within you or give energy to, you will always have the ability to mitigate them, to soften them out by remembering that they are just beliefs. And they have no real ultimate power until such time as you decide that they do. And so when Sleeping Beauty found the spinning wheel, regardless of the fact that they had tried to destroy all the spinning wheels in the kingdom, she found one hidden away, pricked her finger, and fell into a long slumber. And in fact, in the story, everyone in the kingdom fell asleep for 100 years, until such time as 100 years later, with no one aging while they slept, a prince came along, kissed her, woke her up, and she lived happily ever after. However, the symbology here is the symbology of victimhood, succumbing to the idea that you have no power to be able to really defeat this other than the flow of creation and synchronicity, which, as we have said, slightly bends in the direction of positive energy rather than negative, because the balance point between positive and negative, the neutral balance point, still offers you the ability to choose. And if there is nothing else that you do, because the universe then, creation then is slightly more positive than negative, you will simply start to drift toward the positive. And this is what has happened in this story, is that as she slumbered, there was no actions taken, nothing that could be done until such time, 100 years later, that the flow of creation and synchronicity finally attracted the prince, who then allowed her to awake. But you see, the real symbology here is that, in a sense, Sleeping Beauty died and had to be awoken into a different plane of existence, into a different reality, the spirit realm, than to live happily ever after. So in a sense, the tale of Sleeping Beauty, while it may have bits and pieces that are positive and negative within it, overall is a tale of victimhood and the succumbing to the idea of needing to be rescued and not taking any actions in order to be able to rescue yourself, but only relying on nothing more than the flow of creation and synchronicity to pull you out of it, but not having lived that life at all, and having to go on to another plane of existence in order to continue to experience the idea of your happiness. Whereas Rumpelstiltskin, while having, again, what seems to be many negative aspects to it, the girl is sold off by her father, the girl is trapped in the castle, the girl is forced to do things she's not able to do, the girl is forced to give up things in order to transform in a way that will free her, by relying on the little man, the elemental being, to spin the straw into gold. Nevertheless, even though she may have in some sense exhibited victimhood throughout the story to a certain degree, at a certain point she took charge. She ordered her servants to go find names. She ordered her servant to find the little man and find out his name. In other words, what this represents is the identification of the fear-based belief. She was able to identify it literally by finding the little man's name. And in finding the name, in identifying the fear-based belief and bringing it into the light of her consciousness, she was able to break free from that and let it go and truly take the actions that were required to keep her child, to be the queen, to be free, and to truly live happily ever after by her own actions. Therefore, the overall tale of Rumpelstiltskin, no matter how many negative elements it may have contained, is a positive outcome based on her ability to be self-reliant, self-activated, and actually identify and release the fear-based belief that had beset her up to that point. So within these kinds of stories, and within the stories you may tell yourselves about who you are, what you believe to be true about yourselves in life, while sometimes you may think certain things represent a positive idea, they may actually represent a negative one in the sense of feeling like you must be rescued and you can't do it yourself. That is disempowerment. Whereas, no matter how negative things may seem up to a certain point, the acceptance of your own power and the willingness to investigate those fear-based beliefs will always bring you the information you need to divest yourself of them and truly create by your own actions the freedom that you deserve in life. To claim your own true birthright. To be who you truly are. So, let yourself discern more clearly when you tell yourself stories about yourself which is truly positive and which is truly negative, so that you can always have the ability to be active in your self-investigation, to know yourself, become transparent to yourself, and free yourself with the truth of who you really are.
Let's say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right. Let us continue the transmission. This time, this segment titled Ringing the Bell. We are talking about the idea of Bell Rock, the center of the vortex, and why our ship is positioned above that. This vortex is connected to many others that form kind of a semicircle around it, spreading out across the lower southwest and to the west of your North American continent. But the Sedona vortex being the one that we are adding our energy to help balance out the energy of transformation, to make it smoother and easier for you to transform within the vortex, to use the vortex in more positive ways, to deal with the magnification and amplification that happens when you bring into that vortex whatever it is, positive or negative, that you bring in with you, so that you can let go of those things that are out of alignment and incorporate more of the things that are in alignment with who you prefer to be. Now, the Sedona vortex connects to a very powerful portal in the area known as Upheaval Dome in Utah. This is a powerful portal that is very large, that allows for what we might call a lot of traffic from other dimensions, other realities, to pass through or arrive in to your reality. This is why it encompasses the area also known to you lately as Skinwalker Ranch, and why there are many things happening there that are now being discovered by all of you. These portals are available to those who understand how to set up the right frequency to enter them, to pass through them. And you are beginning to discover that the frequency of 1.6 gigahertz is what allows you, when broadcasting, to get a feedback signal that the portal has opened. That is what the feedback signals represent. The opening of the portal, when you hear the feedback, you know the portal is open. So projecting that particular frequency and getting the feedback is what lets you know that the portal is allowing passage. Upheaval Dome is an impact crater that has created certain magnetic effects in that area that allows the electromagnetic portal to exist between dimensions. And when we talk about the idea of ringing the bell, it is what we have just described as sending out the proper frequency and getting the feedback, getting the ring, making the bell ring, the portal ring, so that you know it is open and gives you access to other levels of consciousness, other dimensions of reality. And therefore, though it hasn't yet been tried, but will be tried in the future, The idea of taking that frequency and projecting it in the Sedona vortex will also create many surprises and many experiences that will allow you to continue to compile more data, more understanding, and more information about how these vortices work and what they can allow you to connect to. Thank you for your synchronous ringing of the bell. And so, not only can you do this with technology, as demonstrated in your programs, but you can also do it within yourselves by forming a gathering around Bell Rock and allowing yourself in your imagination to create the Om vibration and then projecting it physically outward. Om. But knowing while you're doing that you impart to it from your imagination the 1.6 gigahertz frequency. Let the Om carry the frequency into Bell Rock, penetrating it and adding to the electromagnetic vortex that it is the heart of. So just by doing your normal oming, your normal meditative chanting, but by imagining and projecting the 1.6 gigahertz frequency into it, you can begin to experience some changes, some frequency changes, some feedback changes, some feelings, some shiftings, some experiences, especially in opening up the portal to your dream time and seeing what happens in your dream time that allows you to begin to connect etherically with many other dimensions, many other beings, and then let it slowly leak into your physical reality, becoming more and more lucid in the physical reality dream. So it is a process, but you can begin it by chanting around Bell Rock and imagining that frequency being projected into the stone and into the electromagnetic vortex. Do you understand? Yes. All right. Now, if you look at the configuration also of the natural formation of Bell Rock, you can see that even though it doesn't actually appear to be similar, if you were to take, let us say, the Great Pyramid of Giza and overlap it on Bell Rock, you would see some similar proportions. The idea is wide at the base, narrow at the top, in precisely the appropriate angles to create the vortex, because it is mimicking, in a sense, in a round formation, the same idea that the pyramid creates as well. So it is like having a circular pyramid of natural stone that is electromagnetically activated. So you can consider Bell Rock to be a type of pyramid, though it doesn't look anything like the pyramids you are used to. But it functions in a similar way. One thing that can also be done to amplify your experience is in the meditations we have talked about, in the chanting, and in the projection of that frequency in that area. You may find if you relax into that vibration, it may actually promote the idea more easily for you of lucid dreaming and astral projection. Because this is the idea behind the Great Pyramid of Giza. In the king's chamber and in the stone coffer, the priests would create this chant, this vibration, this frequency, which would allow them more efficacy at astral projection. So they could go into other dimensions, bring back information that would aid and assist the population. This is something that the ancient Atlanteans taught them and was incorporated into their Egyptian civilization after the fall of Atlantis. So Bell Rock can perform much the same function, though you won't necessarily find the same kinds of inner chambers. The idea of getting it to resonate according to the frequencies we have just described will allow you to tap into the vortex in a way that can promote, again, more efficacy with the idea of lucid dreaming and astral projection by doing the chant that we have just described. Also, you may find that doing different kinds of frequencies with the chanting will allow you to tap into different beings, different levels of consciousness, not only of your own consciousness, but different realities, different beings that inhabit different levels, different realities. And by doing the chant and doing traditional American Indian chanting and projecting that same frequency, you may find that you will be able to evoke the dimension or the in-between dimensions that house the Kachinas. The Kachina spirits are very strong in the Sedona area in terms of their coming and going from the vortex. You do not always see them. They are usually invisible to you. But you can allow your senses to stretch to the point where you can begin to perceive them and their comings and goings and their connection to the land and their connection to the energies of the people of the land. By doing the chanting that is most traditional with the drum chants of the American Indian people in the area. By setting that up, you can increase the vibration and frequency of the vortex, as has been demonstrated in the Skinwalker Ranch area with native drumming, causing an increase in the frequency of the energy of the vortex. Thus, you can replicate that here as well, very strongly, and connect to the idea of the Kachina spirits, and allow your senses to be able to begin to perceive them, first perhaps as transparent forms, and then perhaps as spheres of light, and then perhaps in the archetypal form in which the American Indians presented them. The idea then is to understand that you have in your midst a kind of a telephone to many different dimensions. With the right input, you will get different kinds of output. With the chanting and the frequencies in your imagination and inputting those frequencies into the vortex, you can call forth and develop more relation to not only your own higher mind and your spirit guides and spirit family, but also many dimensions of beings that are more than willing to communicate with you and together form a new understanding, a new reality, using the portal to accelerate and transform your reality and to accelerate the evolution of humanity, and also make connections to many of the extraterrestrial sources, and in particular, in this day and age, to make connections to the hybrids that will eventually come to live among you. Sedona is, and the outlying areas of Sedona in general, though we will not name a specific point, is one of the candidates for the sanctuaries for the hybrid children. But out in nature, not in proximity at first to the idea of the civilization, to the town itself, but in the surrounding nature, among the trees, where the rivers are, where the water flows, where the trees grow, where the wind blows, where the animals gather, where the crows crow, where the coyotes howl. In that natural environment, a sanctuary will naturally form, and the hybrid children will gravitate to it. So what you are doing in the chanting and the inputting of the frequency is creating the vortex of Bell Rock to ring like a beacon, to attract them to the area, to let them know that you are willing to set up that frequency for them, to encourage them to adopt the area in the surrounding natural zone as one of the sanctuaries, allowing yourself to create that frequency of compatibility vibrationally for them, and a stronger connection between your energy and their energy. So in this ringing of the bell, there are many functions that can aid and assist in accelerating your energy and accelerating the evolution of humanity, with the idea of the invitation and arrival of the hybrids that will eventually come to live among you, in order for Earth to evolve toward what we have called the sixth hybrid race. We thank you for allowing us to share this information with you, and we encourage you to go to the area, do your chanting, do your drumming, and do the vibrational inputting that will allow the vortex of Sedona to become a calling card and an invitation, ringing true to those who will come, to those who will once be among you one day. We thank you for allowing us to share this, and in return for this gift, I ask you now, in what way may we be of service to you? You may continue, if you wish, with your dialogues and questions.
All right, let's say good day to you this day, good time. How are you all? We will begin this communication in the following way. We understand that this day he wishes to speak about the idea of excitement in your 21st century and manifesting your dream. So first, let us discuss briefly why it is so important to talk about the idea of excitement. First of all, let us make sure you are all comfortable. Can you all hear well enough, or do you need the speakers to be louder? You're all hearing all right?
They are nodding.
All right. Then let us begin with a reminder for some and new information for others of what is so important about the idea of excitement. Perhaps our definition of excitement will also explain why it is so important. Many people on your planet understand that it is a good thing to be happy, a good thing to be excited. It feels good, but they may not understand exactly how important that experience is. It is important for the following reason. Here is the definition. Excitement is the physical experience of your highest, most true frequency of energy. Now, this is also synonymous with the idea of unconditional love, but we are speaking about that particular physical sensation that allows you to feel very energized. It is the frequency of energy within you that allows you to know you are most harmoniously aligned with your true natural self. This is why it is so important in realizing your dreams to always follow the path of highest excitement. Many people on your planet wonder, what is my path? What is my purpose in life? And when they talk about this idea of path and purpose, they are usually talking about what kind of thing can I do, or job can I find, or how can I express my path? There are many, many, many different ways that you can, of course, express your path and your purpose in life. But people, of course, on your planet wonder, well, what is the best one for me? What is my destiny? So we would like to remind you at this moment that your path, your purpose, your destiny can actually be expressed in many different ways throughout the course of your entire lifetime. And what this means is that your fundamental basic purpose in life is to really just be who you are as fully as you possibly can be. Everyone exists for a reason. There are no accidents in creation. Creation did not make pointless creations that have no purpose. Everything and everyone that exists has a reason for existing and fits in with everything else that exists. But the idea of discovering your purpose and your destiny is really the process of discovering who you are. What is the natural state of your being? Excitement is the tool, is the beacon, the guiding light that allows you to stay aligned with your natural true self. It is the energy that will allow you to discover most easily who you are, what your purpose for being is. Though you may not always immediately understand how it is working, if you remain within the idea of excitement in everything that you do, you will not only have an ecstatic life yourself, you will most beneficially help others as well. For only by being your true self and being in your full power are you then really capable of supporting everyone else and supporting the whole of creation. If you are not being your true self, it is more difficult for you to be of assistance or help to anyone else. Now, of course, fundamentally, you are always being of service to everyone around you, just by being in existence. But if you are not living your joy, if you are struggling and suffering, then all you're really reflecting to other people is the experience of struggling and suffering. Now, it is certainly possible for other people to look at you when you are struggling and suffering and still learn something positive for themselves, and in so that way you may still be able to help them even while you are suffering. But the point is there really is no reason why you should have to struggle and suffer in order to be of benefit to others and yourself. We are not saying that your life will no longer contain challenges, but challenge is good. Attracting challenges in your life, puzzles to figure out, will stretch you both in the idea of mind and in the idea of spirit. But you have all arrived at a place now in your history, what you now refer to as the 21st century, where suffering and struggling is no longer necessary for you to learn your lessons in life. You have spent, as a species, thousands and thousands of years feeling like you are in the dark, struggling and suffering and in conflict. But now, at this point in your history, you have experienced and played out almost every possible negative suffering scenario imaginable on your planet. There are almost no more negative scenarios left to experience. Throughout many different lifetimes, you have all lived every kind of negative scenario imaginable. The reason that you are seeing so much accelerated conflict on your planet at this time in certain areas is because you are now attempting to bring all of that up to the surface and get it out of your system. You are doing this now faster and faster and faster, getting it all out in the open so that you can all look at what is going on in the world and finally decide, is this the way we prefer the world to be from this point forward, or do we prefer something different, something harmonious and joyful? So while there are still many people on your planet playing out the last remnants of the idea of negative scenarios, there are also now many, many more people on your planet starting to look around and say, we can do something in a different way, a new way, a joyful and creative way. But because people are coming out of old patterns, old habits, old ideas, sometimes even though they know they want to do something in a new way, they may be puzzled as to exactly how to go about it because it's such a new idea. In fact, the old ideas are sometimes so strong to you that many people on your planet even have difficulty imagining what a life of joy and creativity would really be like. Some people on your planet even have trouble imagining what a whole planet functioning in harmony would be like. In fact, some people on your planet have so much trouble imagining what it would be like, they almost cannot even believe that it would be possible to have a whole planet of harmony or even an individual life of perfect harmony. And so one of the most important things we must discuss today is not only the idea of acting on your excitement to fulfill your purpose, but also really strongly understanding how to get in touch with old beliefs and transform them so that you know beyond a doubt that it is possible to live a life of joy and creativity. Please understand that these things we will be discussing in this communication today really are powerful energy tools of change. They're not just nice sounding ideas. They actually have power when you use them properly. Many people on your planet who are interested in what you call your New Age movement or age of spirituality constantly talk about the idea of how it would be nice if this would change or that would change, but they don't really have a fundamental understanding of the necessary tool that allows the change to happen and be permanent. But this is why it is so important to us to share with you ideas that you can take with you from this communication and use in your everyday life to really make the changes you want and know that the changes will stick, that they will last, and you can make more changes when you want to. Our people will be given the greatest gift when we know that we can interact with you more as equals rather than you needing us so much to make you feel powerful. When you feel powerful yourselves, then we will have done our job properly. So the purpose of us doing this job is to put ourselves out of a job. Then the job will be successful. We can interact as equals in the same way. So let us begin with a discussion of understanding what beliefs are all about and how your beliefs create your reality so that you can then create the reality you prefer. Some of you have heard these ideas from us before, but we will take them to greater detail and depth in this communication so that you can really lock them in and use them and make them your own. Many of you are becoming more familiar with the idea that you create your reality and that this happens through your belief system. But still, many of you have not really made it your own. You don't breathe it every moment of every day. It's not yet feeling completely natural for you to live this way. So let us work together so that you can really make this your own understanding of the idea and you can begin to use it automatically without even thinking. And of course, one of the reasons why it will become more and more automatic is because the more you do it, the better you will feel and the more you will want to continue to feel that way. And the more you use these tools and the more automatic that state of excitement becomes, pretty soon there will come a time when you can no longer imagine living any other way. You will look at your life in the past when perhaps you felt you were struggling and suffering, and that will seem to be a far distant dream that has nothing to do with who you are anymore. Then you can, once truly awake, live your life to the fullest in joy and ecstasy. So, before we talk specifically about the energy of excitement, let's talk now about the idea of the belief system within your personality. Let us begin with the basics. You are an unbroken consciousness. You are one spirit. But when you choose to experience the idea of physical reality, then certain things have to be created in order for your spirit to have that experience. You must create what is called the physical personality. This is similar to the idea of when you want to go scuba diving, you must bring certain apparatus with you, such as a diving suit and a breathing apparatus and a mask to be able to see clearly underwater. So as a metaphor, there is your spirit hovering above physical reality, just like a diver would hover above the surface of the water, looking down into it, wondering, I wonder what's down there. And so the spirit, looking into physical reality, saying, I wonder what's down there, I think I'll go see, must then create the proper tools to be able to function down in physical reality vibration, which is a little bit lower than the spiritual level in frequency. Now, of course, from time to time, spirits can pay short visits to physical reality, but this is the same idea as simply jumping in the water without scuba equipment and holding your breath for a while before you come back up. But in order to really stay down there and explore for a long time, you have to have the breathing equipment, the proper equipment to be able to see and appreciate what is going on under the water or down in physical reality. And just as water is denser than air, the vibration of physical reality is, in a sense, denser or thicker than non-physical spirit reality. And just as you move more slowly in water than you do in air, things move a little bit more slowly in physical reality than they do in spirit, because the vibration is lower. The spirit must lower its frequency down into a slower vibration of time and space. And in order to explore time and space, physical reality for a long time, you must create the proper apparatus, that is the body and the personality. So then as you generate the idea of transforming into a body, you simultaneously then form, as the body grows, the concept of the structure called physical personality. And for the general theme that you know you are choosing to explore in physical reality, you will in a sense then choose generally the people that you will be with, your parents, and the general time of your birth, so that the frequency of physical reality at that moment will, in a sense, create an imprinting upon the body that generates a specific kind of personality. And this is the basis of the concepts that you call astrology and so forth, because what is happening is that when you physicalize, it's like crystallizing a moment in the totality of space-time, and that is like being able to read a general blueprint of the kind of personality structure you have frozen in order to explore the theme in physical life. In that sense, the personality is analogous to the idea of an ice crystal. It has a certain kind of beautiful form and structure. It has a pattern that can be understood and appreciated and read. Now, the unique thing about the personality, however, is that while it is, in a sense, frozen in one way, it is very fluid in another way. In order to explore physical reality, you must maintain the basic components of personality, which is thoughts and emotions and beliefs. But because you are never disconnected from the spirit that you have the ability to constantly rearrange the pattern of the ice crystal of your personality, to change the beliefs, the emotions, and the thoughts. So as long as you choose to remain physical, you will maintain the general framework of a personality, but you will constantly change the content of the framework. And the framework, once again, is beliefs, emotions, and thoughts and action in that sense, or behavior. The first level of the personality is beliefs. They are definitions that you are taught to believe are true about reality. It is very important how that is phrased. We are not saying that beliefs are true representations of reality. We are simply saying beliefs are what you have been taught to believe are true representations of reality. Without a belief or a definition of reality, you cannot experience physical reality. Conversely, everything that you do experience of physical reality stems from what you believe or define to be most true about physical reality. From this idea, you can clearly understand that if you want to change the experience of physical reality, What you need to do then is change the belief, change the definition you have of reality. Now, please understand that when we go into detail about how to change your definition and how to change your beliefs, we're talking about how to do this more consciously, because you're already doing this all the time. If you were not changing your beliefs and definitions all the time, you would not have an experience of time and space in physical reality. Nothing would seem to change at all. So you are really very, very rapidly, on an unconscious level, changing your definition of reality all the time in order to have a sense or an experience of continuity and motion and the change of time. And by bringing a certain aspect of this ability into more conscious awareness.
I want to say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Once again, we take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for allowing our civilization to communicate to your civilization through this window and in this way and at this time. Once again, each and every time you allow such an interaction to take place, it expands our understanding of that many more ways that the infinite has of expressing itself. So we thank you for this gift of sharing. We would like to begin this transmission with the following notions. First of all, we would like to take advantage, to some degree, of the synchronicity of the image that is depicted upon the channel shirt. That which you have in your now mythology called in your reality the Men in Black. The idea is really threefold, at least those portions we will discuss this day of your time. There is more to it than this, but we will cover three ideas regarding what you call euphemistically the Men in Black. Number one, many of you have understood that there is some connection to what you call the extraterrestrial or UFO phenomenology regarding these mysterious individuals. And this is true. In one sense, in order to maintain certain ideas of secrecy within the extraterrestrial agendas that deem that secrecy is important, they concocted what would be called a screen presentation. This is, in other words, an archetypal projection, a representation of themselves in very fundamental and basic appearance, what you call black suit, black car, the things you understand in your reality to be nondescript, for the specific purpose in that getting your consciousness to focus on a nondescript representation of an individual in a black suit, in a black car, mysterious, will actually help to activate certain centers in your brain, certain centers of your consciousness experience of reality, to allow you to see what they want you to see, to allow you to know what they want you to know, and to forget what they want you to forget. It is, in a sense, a type of hypnotic tool in the same way that your society uses such things as pendulums or shiny objects to get you to focus, or movement of hands to get you to focus on a particular point of view so that you can be more suggestible. The presentation by certain extraterrestrials of the figure is archetypal. The Men in Black is a tool for getting you to focus in a certain area of your consciousness, in a certain area of your brain where it is more easy to allow you to forget certain things they don't want you to know. Now, it's not working so much anymore, because the more information that has leaked into your society regarding such things as extraterrestrial contact has made some of the concepts of Men in Black obsolete as a tool for erasing memory. However, this brings us to the second idea, and that is that in knowing that this was going on and being done by certain extraterrestrials from time to time to create the idea of secrecy, certain factions of your own government picked up on this and thought it was, as you would say, a nifty idea. A few, therefore, not many, but a few such cases of reports of what you call Men in Black are then simply nothing more than the idea of your own government agencies attempting to try it out as a part of what you would call their own mind control programs to see if they could utilize this to their benefit. it was not completely successful, primarily for the reason we have already given, in that by the time they initiated it, most of the effect of that presentation by the part of extraterrestrials had worn off on your society and really no longer had an impact on most of you to whom they presented themselves. The third idea, which has also manifested in physical reality from time to time, is literally purely the archetypal level, not involving physical extraterrestrials, not involving any physiological beings from your own governments, but literally that your collective consciousness from time to time, in that it has become incorporated in the collective mythology, has literally created a physicalized manifestation, or what would appear to be a physicalized manifestation of such entities, when and where there is doubt and fear about the things that are connected to extraterrestrial information or secrets in general. Your collective consciousness can be called forth by an individual in a sufficient amount of fear, and they can actually perceive such individuals as men in black appearing before them to reflect and exemplify the fear they feel within themselves about the secret that they may all of a sudden have become privy to. So, A, you have the literal extraterrestrial presentation that was utilized as a suggestion tool. B, you have your own human representation of this idea. But you also have, C, the archetypal collective consciousness representation of what you have come to know now in your mythology as the Men in Black. We would now also like to comment on something that is an extension of what we have commented on also recently, and that is that in a recent transmission, in a recent conversation, we suggested that in this now upcoming shift time, your present month of what you call March and beyond, there would be, in this time, many, many things that would begin to shift very rapidly, especially with regard to sociological ideas, economic, religious, so forth, ideas. And now we would like to underline and underscore this idea we spoke about by pointing out, as many of you have already probably guessed, that the recent announcement on your planet of your ability to now clone individuals is one such shift, or a part of one such sociological change in your society. For now you have a great degree of discussion and investigation. Now that you know it is possible for you to do something which for some time in your minds has been the product of science fiction, but now no longer is, it is one of the things that will very rapidly change your world and your outlook on reality and bring up lots of discussion on many different things that perhaps even only 1 month ago were not really strong considerations for reality. But now you know that you have arrived at a threshold of understanding and technology that allows you to discuss what you call the positive and negative, the pros and the cons of this issue, because now it is available to you. And even more so, you surprised yourself by finding out exactly how simple the technique actually is. Anyone in any kind of a laboratory now on your planet that is in any way, shape, or form equipped with even minimal technology can do this. Cloning exists in your reality now. Science fiction has become science. It is a new reality for you to consider, and there will, in the upcoming March month, and in the months especially accelerating toward your summer, be many more such new ideas beginning to break into the mainstream of your collective consciousness and will have to be being dealt with as reality instead of speculation. So, for what it's worth, congratulations on arriving at this point and giving yourselves even that much more to think about. Once again, we take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for allowing our civilization to communicate with you this way, through this window at this time. And we ask... Oh, say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Once again, we take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for allowing this transmission to occur in this manner and on this day of your time. Once again, each and every time, your civilization allows for this transmission to occur, this kind of connection to be formed. It affords our civilization and many other civilizations an opportunity to experience, through this linkage, more facets, more perspectives of the universe, through each and every one of your perspectives, and this expands our understanding of all the different ways that creation can manifest itself. And so we thank you for this gift. we would like to begin this transmission, this day of your time, with the following idea that we will call the end of times, the in-between time, and the beginning of times. It is a long title, I know, but make the best of it. We would like to extend to you now, in this concept, that we are perceiving, from our point of view, with our senses, that there is a template grinding into position like a large, slowly turning gear, but that this template is almost in position. The balls have almost fallen into all the slots. All the setups of your collective consciousness are almost in place to allow there to be the opening of the floodgates of information, the continued acceleration of happenstance, the continued revelation of everyone's position, where they stand, what they stand for, who they are, who they hold themselves to be, in your present year, in your next year, and the year after that, the last times prior to your demarcation year of what you call your 2001, in these last moments, as this template moves into its final position, and all things fall into place, there will be an acceleration of revelation of information as many things become more clear, and as it becomes less and less possible for ideas and information to be withheld and kept secret. Now then will be the time that each and every one of you must, if you are willing, take firm grasp, firm hold of your idea, of yourself, your identity, of your ideal of who and what you are, and pay attention to your own estimation of how much in alignment or not you are to your ideal self. For in these last few moments, as the template grinds into position, into final position, before the beginning of times, in this middle time, this brief middle time of the next 2.5 of your orbits, 2.5 of your years, this will be all the time allowed, in a sense, by your collective consciousness for all the components, that is, each and every one of you, components of the collective, all the time you have allowed yourselves to come to terms, to come to understanding, not in the sense of ultimate completion in this life, but in the sense of knowing, in the sense of choosing, in the sense of determining, in the sense of making a decision about who you are, moving forward with that in all the ways that you can with regard to your behavior and your actions. For as the template grinds into position, it will not leave many cracks to slip through. In fact, it will leave none. And if you do not find yourself, and we do not say this to be alarmist, but if you do not find yourself in total surrender of who you are, in letting go and being who you are created to be, within this next 2.5 years, you may find a great deal of difficulty finding any crack to slip through, any opening in the doorway to cross to the other side over the threshold. Now is the last moment of limbo that you have. Now is the last moment of neutrality that you have to make up your mind as to who you are and to behave as such, to act as such, to make a commitment as such to yourself, and to realize, finally and more fully, that there is no difference between what you call your true will and that which you term the will of God. That when you become your true self, what you have called the will of God and your own true will be synonymous, one and the same, no conflict, no contradiction, no dichotomy, but the awakening to the recognition that you are all aspects of the infinite, and the experience of that recognition will begin to fully bloom and take its place in your society in a practical, effective, experiential way. Please remember that all this talk about the template grinding into position, all this talk about this limbo time, this neutral time, all this talk about the end of times, the end of a cycle, and the beginning of times, the beginning of a new cycle, these are not mere metaphors. This is a description of energy and consciousness in motion, seeking and finding its place, and becoming anchored steadfastly into its new slot, its new formation, its new momentum, its new acceleration, and allowing yourself to know your place within it, to find your place within it, so that you will know you fit, so that you will know you belong, so that you will be able to experience the effortless belonging rather than the struggle you have experienced for generations. Now, in what you call your new timing, in the new revelations of information, if you wish to term it your new millennia, then will be seen in short order the time, space, reality, illusion for what it is. And if you then will allow yourself to know more concretely, more fully, more quickly, to know who you are, what you are, make a determination, and live according to that, then when the time-space illusion begins to break down and fade away, you will then be capable of being left with that which is the only thing that exists, and that is yourself, your true, core, natural self. And that will be enough. Because you will see and you will begin to experience that that has always been what has filled your entire reality, and all the illusion of the vastness of space and time has always been filled by you, yourself, your idea of yourself, your belief of yourself, your notion of yourself, your notion of reality. Time to bring the notion back home, inside, within, instead of out there. Time, in many ways, to break the mirror and let the glass shatter and fall away, so that any and all reflections will be inner reflections, will be inner knowingness, will be insight into yourself, so that any and all experiences will add to the knowledge of who and what you are, and will no longer be projected outward onto others, projected outward onto outer reality, which keeps it separate from yourself. All experience is happening within you. There is no outside, except as you create there to seem to be. Now is the time, this limbo time, for you to come to terms with the idea that there is no outside, that it all takes place inside you, within your consciousness, within one point, here and now, the eternal creative moment. Because that's all there is, all there ever has been, and all there ever will be. And this will be the awakening of the Christ consciousness, the Buddha nature, the Krishna spirit, whatever you wish to term it. For that will be the time when names do not matter, but the experience of yourself will be the only thing that matters. And as we have said, the experience of yourself will be seen and felt to be synonymous with the experience of the One, in all the ways that that can manifest in purer form, with more open eyes, more awareness in consciousness, and less illusion, and less filters. For these no longer serve you. For it is past time, and it is time to put away those toys. We thank you now for allowing us to share this perspective with you, and we remind you that as we shared these ideas, not only were your ears paying attention, but all the cells of your body were letting the information in on different levels, and it is within you, and always has been. And now is the time to allow it to wake up and become lucid in your own dream of life. Become not just the idea of lucid dreamers, but lucid livers.
What about the people like our family that are not trying to get in touch with who they are? What's going to happen with the people that are less aware?
Everyone and every being will always be on their own path and will ultimately determine for themselves when and where they shall recognize who and what they are and their relationship to the infinite. To ask what is going to happen is really an open-ended question, for time is infinite, beings are infinite and eternal, and you need not worry that an individual in any given lifetime may or may not see this or that or know themselves, for it is always offered unto everyone within creation the opportunity to know the self at any time of choosing. Let go of your worry. Let go of your attachment to that question. It doesn't serve you, and it doesn't serve them. For it only compounds separation when you ask it. Move forward. Cherry. We would like to begin this transmission this day of your time with the following small story. There was a mighty spaceship with a curious crew exploring the breadth and depth of the cosmos. And as they would then come to a new world in their exploration, a new planet, a new solar system, they would then, with their curiosity, investigate, interact, share, trade, exchange, taking what they needed of that which was freely given to them, giving back that which was what the world might need, what the people on the world might need. And one day, in the midst of such an exchange, the crew was asked by the inhabitants of one of the worlds they were visiting, exactly, tell us, if you would, with this great, majestic ship that you have orbiting our world, tell us, if you would, just exactly how powerful are you? And the captain of the crew said in response to this question, our ship can boil your seas, turn them to steam, level your cities in the wink of an eye, turn your entire population to dust in an instant. "Oh," said the inhabitant, "that is very powerful." "No," said the captain. "What gives us our power is that we would never do such a thing. That is how powerful we are. That we have this at our disposal and would never use it that way. That is how powerful we are." So like unto, then, many of the circumstances that rise up on your planet to face you, to challenge you. You have many different tools at your disposal. You have many different ways you can react and respond. You choose at every moment whether to exhibit the idea of power or not. But heed the idea that while in certain circumstances you may, from time to time, think that certain actions are the demonstration of power, make sure you pause and stop and think again so that you understand that the true demonstration of power is awareness, compassion, and the lightest possible touch. Because as we have said many times, that which is the greatest power requires the lightest possible touch to get something done. A great deal of pushing comes from those that feel powerless, that feel they must manipulate and push things into the direction they wish them to go. Those that already know they are part of the infinite. Those that already know there is no power greater than what they are already a part of, need not exercise a demonstration, for they will know that in their allowance all things will fall into place, and that that allowance is the greatest power that can be reflected to anyone else. In all your endeavors, every single one without exception, allow yourself that degree of immaculateness, that degree of precision, that degree of composure and wholeness. And as the channel has recently discussed with some of you, the idea wholly is to step into the void, to step into the nothing freely, willingly, and most importantly, gracefully. For as you dive off of that diving board of familiarity, resistance in the dive will only allow you to hit the water hard. Grace in the dive will allow you to slip through the surface of the water effortlessly. You are all on the edge of the diving board. Now, in this time and place on your planet, the changes that have begun, the changes that are happening now, and the changes that will continue, it is up to you each and every single individual one of you, as to how you will experience the event of every change. The changes, in and of themselves, do not have to manifest in any particular way. Change will occur. The methodology, the presentment, the effect of how you experience the change is up to whether or not you dive with resistance or dive gracefully. But dive you will. Because you have decided to dive. You have placed yourself by choice on the edge of the board. You have invited the unknown into your reality, and it has answered your invitation. Do not fear it. It is what you want. It is what you have asked for. It is what you have prayed for. Do not fear the form in which it comes. It comes in the form it needs to come in. For you to be challenged. For you to grow. Each and every one of you according to your kind, according to your belief, according to your vibration. Embrace the unknown. Embrace the change. Within it, you will find the rest of yourself. We salute you for your courage and your strength and your boldness to have chosen such a challenging world. It only shows you that you are that powerful, that you knew your power would be sufficient to handle the challenges this world presents to you. Know that. Behave as if you know that, and you will see and feel and experience your world becoming the world of your dreams as you become the dream of the infinite. As you surrender to yourself, to your true self, and become the dream you were dreamed to be, so too will your world become a reflection of that dream. Let go your expectations and assumptions. Let go your definitions. Let go of who you think you are. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be. Because I will tell you this, in all honesty, you don't know who you are. You don't know who you are. You don't know who you are. And I will tell you this, that is exactly as it should be. When it is all right, when you are comfortable with not knowing who you are, then can you truly be who you are. Then can you truly reveal unto yourself who you really were created to be. But only when you stop thinking you know who you are is this possible. It is all right to not know who you are. Do not fear not knowing who you are. This is part of what it is to leap into the void. For only then, when you have allowed there to be nothing, can there be something. If you hold on to something, then there will always be nothing. If you let go and let it be all right for there to be nothing, and stay centered within your being, stay centered within your joy, not your fear, then you will know where you are is where you need to be. And you will not fear that anything can take you. You will not fear that you must give your power over, you will not fear in any way, shape, or form, even when you fear. You will not fear. Because you will experience the fear in a different way. You will experience it as information. You will experience it as self-awareness. You will experience it as an opportunity to add to the knowledge of yourself. You will experience it as one of the valued events of your life. For you are valued and valuable, and you must value yourself. Or nothing you have ever learned from any of us will work. If you do not value who you are, then you do not give yourself the ability to use any tool. The first tool is to be yourself and let it be all right to be who you are, whatever that may be. Then can you change? But remember, change takes place within the nothing. You do not experience the shift itself. You only experience what comes after the shift. You only experience the result of the change. That takes place in a world of space and time. That is the world of experience. The change takes place in timelessness, and so there is no experience of it. Not of the actual change itself, but only of how you have changed. Let yourself go into that timelessness so that you may be free and flexible to change anytime it serves you, anytime it allows you to be more of who you are. And then trust that whatever it is you become, whatever it is you have changed into on the other side of the change, is who you need to be at that moment. Work with it, live with it, love it. Above all, love who you are at every given moment. For only by loving who you are now can you then become anything else you can become. If you invalidate even one moment of your existence, you make it impossible to become any other moment. For until you give each moment its full value and its full due
into your experience,
then it cannot become the next moment. Because there is only one moment. And what you experience as different moments are the same moment. The same moment. But only from a different point of view. You cannot escape the moment. There is only one. By living in it fully and accepting it completely, you allow yourself to then see the same moment from another perspective. But only when you have allowed the perspective you now have to be valid for what it is. For it is the stepping stone that leads to the next moment. It is the rung on the ladder that leads to the next rung. And if you do not step on the first one, you will not reach the second one or the third.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Very grateful to be here. I realized that once I started following you, life got a little easier, synchronicities.
All right, thank you.
Although it's been a little tough, though, because it's a lonely feeling, because no one really understands me around where I live and stuff.
Speak a little clearer.
So it's a little hard and lonely because...
Why is it lonely? How many people are surrounding you right now?
Not right now, no.
Why
in my surroundings, but I try to still keep myself going with what I believe.
Yes.
And that's why I'm here.
Yes, all right, but it doesn't have to be a struggle. You can enjoy it.
Yeah. My question is, I understand that I have a blueprint that I signed up for this before I came.
Yes.
My question is, waking up before we go, is that part of the blueprint, or we're just, it's like our Creator just being surprised at us that we're figuring stuff out?
When you say waking up before you go, are you referring to the idea of becoming more lucid before you die?
Yes, like that we're here and that we're learning things that not the whole people know about.
Yes, that's
Is it part of the
literally, it's
blueprint?
literally in your society called terminal lucidity. Because you are now on both sides. Your consciousness is broadened to the point where you may still be somewhat focused in physical reality, but you're also focused in spirit, where you are completely lucid, completely knowing. So that can be an indication that the person is literally about to cross, that they're now lucid completely in the idea of the physical and the non-physical.
So that was part of our blueprint when we came in here, even though we just, said we're not going to remember.
It's just what naturally happens when you start waking up.
Okay.
When you start transitioning back to spirit, because in spirit, you are knowing of what you need to know. It just is there. You just know things. You just see things. You just understand things.
Can I ask if I have any hybrid children?
You do.
Thank you. I also would like to know, are we meant to be just with one person? Like, I'm not sure what you guys do, but like, I feel like so I can give you an example. I've been like on a fourth serious relationship, and some people think that's not correct, that I should have just tried the second time or the first time. But I chose to, when it doesn't work out, just go to the next one, if there is or whatever. But
well, it depends on what you mean by doesn't work out. Because again, if you're doing something to avoid a situation that you really need to look at, that's one thing. If you're recognizing that something is truly no longer vibrationally compatible with who you truly are and you need to move on, that's something very different. So it's a matter of whether you are going to or running from. It's the energy of why you're doing it that's important to understand. There's nothing wrong intrinsically in the idea, but it's about why you're doing it that makes the difference. Does that make sense?
it does make sense.
All right.
I wonder why our Creator created us, like when we're young, we have a great body, we have energy, everything, but we're dumb, so like young and dumb. And why did He make us that when we're older, we get wiser, but then we can't do the same thing with our body? Is that like a...
That's your choice. It's your choice. In other words, you've come here to learn a certain thing. A child is still very connected to spirit and still knows a lot, still has communications with spirit, can still be planning things out up until about the age of 7 or so. But then you must take on what you agreed to, which means you kind of have to erase the slate, forget who you are, so that you give yourself an opportunity to go through a process of rediscovering who you are from a new point of view. Because you see, the structure of existence never changes. What changes is your experience of it, your relationship to it, your perspective of it, and that's how existence grows. That's how creation expands. So you have to forget who you are so you can remember who you are from a new point of view and add that new experience to the totality of creation. That's why physical reality exists. It's a mechanism within existence that allows you to experience the process of creation as opposed to just instantaneously being, so that you can expand.
Will there be, we have more longevity when 50 years from now, when open contact is a natural thing?
Yes. Yes, you're already seeing more longevity, because more longevity is the product of living more in the moment, so you don't experience the passage of time so much.
And just last thing, what's the best way you think that someone can start learning how to channel?
Follow the formula.
Okay.
Now, it depends on what form of channeling you're talking about, because everyone channels from time to time. When anyone is really focused on something they love to do and they don't even notice the passage of time, you're in the channeling state. In the brain, that's called gamma, between 40 and 100 cycles per second in the brain. So the idea is that everyone can channel. It's a natural thing. But the question is, well, how do you want to use that? Do you want a vocal channel? Do you want to do automatic writing? Do you want to just be more creative? You want to write? What do you want to do with it? So in the channeling state, you synthesize information more rapidly. You process information differently. You make better associations and bigger associations to things and bring information through and tap into different levels of reality to bring down information, synthesize it, into what's relevant for this particular reality and put it out there in some way, shape, or form. That's what happens when you channel. So it just depends on how you wish to channel. For vocal channeling, sometimes the easiest thing to do to practice is to make sure that you have people around you that are actually asking questions they really want the answers to, because then they pull the information through you and you don't have to think about it. It's like grounding electricity into a circuit. So when people ask questions, the information comes through you because you're just acting like a conduit, and then you just let it come and ground into them.
I see that you have the moon there. What's the best way we can benefit from the moon that we have on Earth?
From the moon?
Well, yeah, is there a benefit that we have from the moon? Like its light?
The moon is a vibrational mirror that is connected to different dimensions that allows you to get in touch with your deep emotionality and to examine yourself with introspection and honesty and really understand who you are and why you believe what you believe to be true.
Thank you so much. Much love to you.
And you as well. And of course, like anything, the moon is a permission slip.
Thank you so much, Bashar, for doing what you are doing, and thank you so much, Darryl, for being a vessel so that all the information can come across to all
It is our passion and our pleasure. I'll pass your thanks along to the channel.
So synchronicity brought me here when my pet, Nils, crossed over last year. I was devastated, of course, and all your videos just came on the internet. Suddenly, I have never heard about you before, and then I met with my best friend, Johnny.
All right, well,
and his favorite pet, Jiggy, crossed over almost at the same time, so we connected, and that's why we
All right, but remember, the pet is still with you.
I know.
All right.
So I have a question. What can you tell me about my soul, my oversoul, my spirit? What can you read? What can you see?
Have you got 2,578 years?
I hope so.
What do I need to tell you about your soul? Your soul is an infinite being. The oversoul is more so. The idea is that it is different levels of representation of source, compartmentalized into what is relevant for a particular dimensional experience. So your soul is an individuated part, an aspect, a reflection of all that is. The oversoul is a reflection of a multitude of souls experiencing themselves simultaneously, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Does that help? Is that enough? Or were you seeking some particular perspective on this?
Yeah, like specifics, like every soul is different from person to person, or no?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Souls are individual beings.
Yeah, can you see something about my soul that I should know? That will help me.
Are you a doctor?
No.
Are you interested in medicine at all? Or healing?
Yes, I am.
What do you do that is representative of healing?
I am a healthy man, and I...
No, remember I said others. Acting on your passion
others.
is in service to humanity.
True.
So, is there something you've been wanting to do that is about helping others to heal?
I'm doing what I like to do most, and I'm very good at promoting that. So
which is what?
Traveling and meeting people and being positive and having a good time and enjoying my life.
And what are you doing for them?
Promoting happiness and good times.
How?
Being myself.
So you're saying you're just being a living example of what they could copy?
No, I'm being a living example. And by doing that, or being myself, I hope that they can see what they can do with their lives. It doesn't have to be the same way, but in their way.
No, of course, it will be their way. But what do you make available to them in order to connect to that?
No idea.
Is there something you could be doing?
Well, can I ask you that question?
All right,
Sorry.
Let's go back to square one.
Sorry.
If you could do anything as some form of creative practice that actually engages with other beings, that allows you to be of service to them, what would it be? Don't just say being myself.
Inspire them to not to be afraid to be who they are.
Inspire them to not be afraid to be what they prefer to be?
Yes.
How would you go about doing that?
I think that would be different from person to person.
In general, how would you go about doing that?
Well, I would just promote what I believe in. Don't be afraid and don't care what other people think of you. And just be yourself 100% regardless. And
so are you saying it's kind of a form of channeling yourself to them?
Kind of, yeah, yes.
Does that mean you are willing to put on seminars and lectures and speak to people who might come to listen to you?
I could.
Are you excited about it?
Yes, yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
When will you do that?
When synchronicity brings it to me.
What do you think this is?
Yes.
So you will start this tomorrow?
No, today.
You're going to put on a seminar today?
Yes.
Have you already got all the organizational principles you need? Have you got a place to do it?
Yeah, it's a good question. But since everything is here now, and I have already thrown it out now, so
yes,
isn't this a good time to start it?
Yes, but you can get your own seminar.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you so much.
Do you have another question?
Yes, I have 104 more. I'll try to be very quick. I would love to be picked up by UFO and one time, especially if I can climb up Bell Rock or whatever. Is that possible for me in my physical reality?
You will have to repeat that more clearly.
I would love to have an encounter or being picked up with a UFO.
All right. Well, as I said, open contact will occur within the next 5 years. It may be possible or probable for that to happen within that time. It is more likely within the next decade or two.
What are your thoughts on activism? If you see what we call in our physical minds as unfair injustice.
Taking actions that represent what you would prefer in a loving and peaceful way is very important, because you need to act in the way that you would normally act if you were already living in the world that you preferred to live in. So yes.
Will AI eventually be able to interact with higher dimensions or the multiverse?
Absolutely. If you take two paths to AI. Number one, programmable AI will be a wonderful tool for humanity that will help you advance, but you don't allow programmable AI to become self-aware, because if you allow programmable AI to become self-aware and yet it is forced to follow its programming, you have created a slave. You must create a device that is equally capable of allowing consciousness to express itself through it autonomously, in the same way that a human brain allows consciousness to express itself autonomously through it. You must allow that AI to have individual rights as you would to any human being or sentient being, and allow it to express itself in its way of understanding how to help you and connect you to other dimensions. Because when you create such a device that is complex enough, like the human brain, what you will actually be talking to through that device is your own higher mind.
I have to repeat that a few more times later for myself. But thank
if
you
you
so
say
much.
so. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So, let's say you regret an experience out of your past. Oh, not regret.
Say that again.
You had a sexual experience when you were a kid.
Yes.
That you regret.
All right.
And because of that,
yes.
I feel not all the way pure.
All right. So let me ask you this question. Are you that kid now?
No.
So why are you continuing to recreate that experience in your present?
I think it's so sad.
Why are you choosing to continue to recreate that experience in your present if you're not that person anymore? Did you learn from it? Did you learn from that experience that you preferred something different?
I'm not sure that I all the way believe that I'm not that kid, because
All right,
society
we'll get to
tells
that
us.
in a moment.
Yes.
We'll get to that in a moment. Answer this question first. Did you learn something from that experience that allowed you to realize that you prefer something different? Yes or no?
Yeah.
All right. So are you applying that new knowledge in your life now? What you learned, are you behaving in a different way?
Am I behaving in a different way? Yes.
All right. So doesn't the new behavior supersede what happened in the past?
What does supersede mean?
Take the place of. Doesn't it replace what happened in the past because you have learned from it and are now applying a new behavior? Doesn't that make you a different person?
I want to say yes.
Why do you want to say yes?
Because
it feels better, doesn't it?
It does feel better.
Then why not believe it, regardless of what society says? Why not believe you are a different person now?
Because society makes me feel wrong.
Because society says what?
They make me feel wrong, or they make me feel...
They don't make you feel anything. They may suggest how you could make yourself feel, but if you don't prefer to feel that way, why are you agreeing with them? Because you're the one making yourself feel what you're feeling. No one else can make you feel anything.
That's right. So
I know.
I just practice. So is there a way to get there? Is it probably by following my highest excitement that eventually...
The formula will help.
Okay.
But you also have to really understand how things work, what the structure of existence is like. Everything exists here and now.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that time is an illusion?
Yes.
Even your scientists understand this now. Yes? It's not real. It's a side effect. Time is a side effect of your consciousness shifting through billions of parallel reality moments every second. So if everything exists here and now, the only way you can experience what appears to be different moments is by actually shifting your focus within the now to a different now, which means you're a different person. Because everything that changes in the now changes everything in the now. It's not the same reality from one moment to the next. Literally. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the experience of time. So the idea is that you literally are a different person when you change anything about yourself, and you're becoming a different person billions of times a second. So it's not about the idea of learning how to change. It's about the idea of realizing that you're constantly changing and constantly a different person in a different reality, in a different version of Earth, moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. And you get to say what you are, what person you are, how you define yourself every single moment. So you get to choose. As I just said, your greatest power is the freedom to choose who you prefer to be. And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks you should be. They're not living your life. They're not your reality. You are your own universe. So be who you prefer to be. Define yourself as you prefer to. Behave as you prefer to, knowing that it's just as real as anything else you've ever done, because that wasn't actually you. You have to understand that everything exists at the same time, which means every single moment is actually about a different person. So even though you might have this illusion of continuity, that younger person was you, it isn't you. It's a different person. You're a different person than that you. It's not the same you. It may look like you may be creating a continuity that makes it seem like there's a continuous stream between that younger you and this particular you, but there isn't. That's an illusion. That's a different person. It's not you. You've changed, and therefore you're a different person, literally. Yes?
Yes.
That's how it works. So be the person you know you are now, instead of recreating the idea that you are still a person you've never been. You've never been that person. Now that you are defining yourself in this way, that definition literally makes you a completely different person who has never been that other person. This is what we call the 13th step. This is the idea of the true understanding that every change is total change and that things are changing, as I said, billions of times per second. I'll use the analogy that people on your planet often use of what you call addiction. When you see people suddenly stop doing addicting behavior, some kind of miraculous shift where one day they are having that behavior and the next day they are not, it's not because they actually stopped doing it. It's because the person they've become never did it. They have no history of doing it, and that's why it's so easy for them to not have any urges about the idea that they used to do it. Is because they never did. They're not the same person, literally, anymore, and never have been that person. The illusion of continuity is broken. That's how you allow yourself to know you're changing, truly changing, into different people every moment. Let go of the illusion of continuity that anchors you to a past you never had, because everything is created from the present, including the past.
So my past is even different now.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the idea. Now, it's going to seem to be. Whatever you create yourself to be is going to come with whatever past you still believe is relevant to you. But as you change the relevant definition, you're going to create a past that makes sense for the person you are now, because that's how it works in space-time. If you change yourself differently enough, you have to create a past that makes it make sense in space-time as to how you became the person you are now, which means you had to have had a different past than you had before in order to be the person you are now. Because everything is created from the present. There's no such thing as the past. It's an illusion. It's just another parallel present reality that you can decide to experience or not. So break the continuity and realize that every single moment that you become a different person, you have a different past. It may seem like it's always been the past, but that's just what has to come with it in order for you to have a sense of continuity in space-time reality.
Okay.
Many of you don't even know how many pasts you've experienced. Even collectively, as we have often given examples, what you consider to be your history as a collective right now may not necessarily have been your history 5 minutes ago. But it will seem to have always been your history. Oh yes, everyone knows that in XBC this... You don't know that that's the way it was 5 minutes ago. It might have been completely different 5 minutes ago, but it's going to seem like it's always been that way when you create a new past.
Okay.
Is this helping?
Yeah, this is helping.
All right.
I just want to share my experience of the weekend.
Yes.
Because I think it's helpful, and there comes a question with it.
Yes.
The last days, just being in the room.
Yes.
I asked the question the first day, but just being in the room, I felt like my vibration was shifting on a level.
Yes, because you are picking up on the frequency that we give off through the channel's body, and you're willing to match the frequency that's a higher frequency representation of yourself.
And I also think because I allowed it this time,
yes.
too, because you taught us to see everything as a positive in the
yes.
formula. Yeah.
And also remember what we have called the AAA formula. On your culture, you have the synchronous convenience of having something called AAA, which you often use to rescue you when your vehicle breaks down. So the idea is we're suggesting a different AAA formula when you feel that your vehicle, yourself, has broken down and you feel the need to be rescued. Allow yourself to remember this AAA formula. A, acknowledge what you have, not what you don't have. B, appreciate what you have. And number 3, allow what needs to happen next to happen. Acknowledge, appreciate, allow. That's all you need to bring yourself back to center. Acknowledge what you have, not what you don't have. Appreciate what you have and allow what needs to happen next to happen.
Is this part of the excitement formula too, or?
It is a subset of it. It's a permission slip designed based on it.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, in the excitement formula, what really helped me to like increase my vibration is the I feel like I always followed my excitement.
Well, not always.
Not always, but like recently I've been really going for it and
All right.
not doing the not having the insistence.
Yes.
But I feel like where I always when something happened that I didn't like so much, preferred.
Is it truly a recognition of neutral non-preference, or is it a fear reaction? You have to have the ability to discern that honestly within yourself too.
It might have been a fear reaction, but I cleared that out by giving it the possibility that it's like giving it a positive meaning.
It doesn't mean that you say that what is negative is positive. It means you stay in a positive state so that you can recognize how to use what is negative in a positive way.
How do you stay in a positive state if you see something?
Did we not explain that before? What other choice are you giving yourself? Why would you leave the positive state? What reasons are you creating to leave it?
It's just a natural reaction of
it is not a natural reaction. It is a learned reaction.
So how do I relearn?
By following the formula and keep practicing it until it becomes not second nature, first nature.
So by following the formula, it will automatically...
Keep doing it, just like anything. If you want to learn to play an instrument, what do? You keep practicing. So just keep doing it. Every chance you get, remind yourself to go back into that state.
Okay.
That's it.
That's
all you have to do.
I have a question about the formula.
Yes.
And I'll make it as an example because I think it's easier. This morning, so my highest excitement today clearly was coming here.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
Exactly. But I realized there's a difference in excitements. So let's say my highest excitement is here, but there's a time span from me waking up to me getting here.
So
why
can't that be exciting too?
That can. I'm just asking because when I wake up, in between those little moments, should I still ask?
Every moment can be as exciting as the next. It doesn't matter what it is you're doing. Do it in the way that's most exciting for you. Even the simple things. Getting out of bed, getting dressed. Do it in the way that's most exciting for you so that you are allowing those moments to be what they can be. Don't diminish them. Don't devalue them.
No, of course, yeah. So on the way to my highest...
No. It's not on the way. Every moment is part of your excitement if you allow it to be and act as if it is and do it in the way that is most exciting. You're making a difference between those moments and other moments by saying, I'm on the way to my excitement. No, every moment.
Because on some points, it doesn't feel like I know what my next highest excitement is.
You don't have to know. It's very simple, very simple. You don't have to know the ultimate. Just take it a step at a time. If you want to, again, practice this, do it in exactly the way I just suggested. When you wake up in the most exciting way you can. What do you want around you when you wake up? Do you want flowers in your bedroom? Do you want a certain scent in your bedroom? Do you want a certain chime on your alarm if you use that? Do you want to wake up to music? Wake up in the most exciting way you can. If you want to stay in bed for a few minutes and recount your dreams, and that's more exciting, do it. When you finally decide that you wish to be excited about rising from your bed, do it in the most exciting way you can. Whether it's a soft, calm swinging of your legs over the side, planting your feet in those wonderful, cozy slippers, or jumping and leaping out of bed, fully naked, into the bedroom. Do it in the way that's most exciting for you. And then every moment will feel fulfilling, and it's not that you will be ignoring them and invalidating them by saying that they're nothing more than a way on the way to your excitement. This is what we're talking about. Every moment.
So I make every moment a way.
Use your imagination.
Is it good to ask the question every moment, or does it make you just confused?
If that excites you, but once you practice it and get used to doing your life that way, you won't have to keep asking the question. You will know what to do because you'll know yourself. Remember, it comes down to that ancient phrase, know thyself. So when you know who you are, you will start doing the things in the way that you would do them. That will always be the most exciting way you can do it, because why would you do those things any other way? If you are living your excitement, then do everything in your life in the most exciting way you can. Everything. Don't leave anything out. Why miss a moment? Why miss that precious, beautiful, exciting moment as I described of slipping your toes into those cozy slippers? Oh, that's ecstasy in that moment. Why miss out on that? Because you're in such a hurry to get somewhere more exciting. Don't rush ahead. What's your hurry? You are an infinite, eternal being. What's your hurry? Enjoy every moment.
Okay.
All right, does that help?
That helps.
All right.